I built my MSP organically to $10 million in revenue. And you've got to do these tactical things to win in very competitive markets, which is pretty much all markets that have MSPs in it.
Paul Green's
MSP Marketing
Podcast.
The big
interview.
Hi, this is Jamie Warner, CEO of E-Nerds and Invarosoft.
And welcome back to the show, Jamie. I can't believe it's been so long. You were last on the show. It was July last year, episode 88. In fact, it was a special episode. And if you're listening to this right now and you haven't heard that special with Jamie, press pause, go back to episode 88 and go and listen to Jamie's story. Because we're not going to go back into it today, but it is an amazing story. And Jamie will tell you how he built up a business from nothing. And Jamie's not even a tech, and he built up an MSP from nothing to, I think it was around about 9 million Australian dollars. But that's all back in episode 88. But thank you for joining me again today, Jamie. You are the final guest interview before Christmas, which makes you the most special interview of the year. What I want to talk about today is 2023. Now, you are in a very unique position that you are both the owner and driver of an MSP, and you're also a vendor, of course, as the owner of Invarosoft. I appreciate here I'm asking you to look into the crystal ball, but what do you think 2023 is going to have in store for MSPs around the world?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me. And what do I think they have in store in 2023? Well, it's just a tremendous amount of opportunity. I think the great thing about the MSP model is that it's very consistent. It is an annuity, monthly revenue type business. If you're doing a managed approach, obviously there'll be a lot of people listening that do break fix still. If you want to go annuity, it's probably a little less stressful if you in terms of that model. But I think there's just a great opportunity to continue to work with your clients, continue to provide that proactive advice. And really, I think at the heart of it is that from a revenue and a growth perspective, there really is a great opportunity to nurture your existing client base and tactically help your MSP grow through looking at the current client pool that you have.
Yeah. In fact, one of the things that stood out most for me listening back to our original interview from last year was you said a great sentence. Now, these aren't your exact words, but this is your sentiment, which was if you end the year with more recurring revenue and more recurring revenue clients than you started the year, then that's a good year. And the goal has to be to constantly be adding in new clients. But we then also reflected on part of that being that you've got to retain your existing clients as well. Do you see that selling more to existing clients is an easier growth opportunity for MSPs than adding new clients?
Well, let's focus on that and do a bit of a recap. So the main thing that I see most MSPs not doing is that they don't think about their sales target for the year, because it is intrinsically two metrics. Sign up more dollar revenue, because it's not about more clients, it's more dollar revenue than you lose every year. And lo and behold, you will grow your business. It's not rocket science, but ask probably 8 out of 10 MSPs and they won't actually have a sales target for their monthly support, their monthly revenue. So I don't mean monthly internet and Office 365 and those sort of things, because they're very low margin. I'm talking about new clients, and you really do need a target on that. So it is important. The sort of stuff that you help them with, Paul, is super important to get the clients in the door, and you do need that because that creates pipeline. But one of the biggest observations I've made over the last 22 years of growing an MSP is that the area in which we'll grow the business in leaps and bounds is definitely procurement. It's your advisory, it's your VCIO process, it's all of that where you go and actually speak to clients and proactively talk about the things they need to fix. But it's about this concept of sales compression. If you put your clients down the left-hand side of an Excel spreadsheet and you said, okay, I think you need this and you need this and you need this, and you added it all up, you'd probably average maybe $10,000 to $15,000 per client. And what I'm seeing most MSPs do is that they don't do that for one thing. They don't do that exercise of looking at your clients as a pipeline. To some degree, Paul, a lot of MSPs seem to think that that's a dirty word. Ooh, I don't want to sell things that they don't need and these types of things. But it's not about that. It's about figuring out what is burning, what's breaking in their environment, putting it in a list, and understanding that you do need to go and actually speak to them about it. So it's about being proactive, and it's about this concept of sales compression. So whilst getting new business is great, it's this concept of looking at a large pipeline that you have. Let's say an MSP had 100 clients and it was 10 grand each. That each client, you could potentially sell them something, some new desktops, laptops, a UPS, a project to go to Office 365, whatever it happens to be. That's $1 million pipeline. And what I'm observing, putting my vendor hat on and now actually speaking to hundreds of MSPs around the world, is that the difference between the MSPs like my MSP that's now at 10 million and those that are a bit smaller is that they don't see it as a pipeline and they don't have those conversations. They don't do what I call sales compression, which is to squeeze that deal flow into a shorter period of time so that they can increase that revenue. So I'm not saying you're not going to sell it. I'm just saying that those that are more efficient in their sales process have a better chance of increasing revenue because they're going out, having conversations and getting people to convert. So a lot of people are going out and actually having the conversation, but what they're doing is they're doing this kind of old approach of a kind of a one option approach. And that's where I start to talk about things like good, better, best and tactical things where you can get buyers to make buying decisions faster. So when you do these types of things, you compress deal flow in a shorter period of time, and lo and behold, once again, you can increase that revenue just by being sales efficient.
Yes, I love this. Absolutely love it. Now, you mentioned there good, better, best, which is one of my favorite ways of selling. It's where you offer people 3 choices. Talk us through how you do that in your MSP. So literally the practical steps of, when you're trying to sell something to an existing client, how do you offer them 3 different packages and what's the difference between that good package, that better package and that best package?
Right, bear with me. It's a good question. I just need to give the listeners a bit of a background on this because in the MSP space, there's a lot of conjecture. There's a lot of pushback on good, better, best. And I have to say it does frustrate me a little bit because there is so much research about good, better, best and why you need to do things like this. Ultimately, in the market, think of any buyer, think of yourself personally. When you go to a supermarket and you look for toilet paper, you intrinsically have the choice between the rough as guts cheap toilet paper and the Cleopatra smooth beautiful toilet paper. The same goes for petrol or gasoline. Good, better, best. Shoes, grapes, yogurt, I don't care what it is. As buyers, we're conditioned to have options. Starbucks coffee all around the world. What do you want? Good, better, best, small, medium, large. It's the same thing over and over again. So there's this conjecture out there going, I don't think good, better, best works, but this is fundamentally researched buyer behavior. And so to poo-poo it without any thought and just poo-poo it because someone said it doesn't work is really going against everything that's been researched. So have a look at a book called Monetizing Innovation. Have a look at a Harvard Business Review article about good, better, best, and you'll see what I mean. Have a good read of it. And it's important for you to understand because this is the journey the buyer goes through. So now let's look at complex situations like whether it be your support plans or whether it be selling and coming back to them with recommendations about things. If buyers are intrinsically conditioned to buy an options, it works really well because if you give someone one option, it's what they call a take it or leave it proposition. The buyer can fundamentally only say yes, no, or go dark. And I bet you $1 million people listening to this have seen their clients go, let me have a think about it. I'll go and, I'll come back to you on that. And they don't come back to you because they don't know what to do because they can't negotiate with you. Because essentially when you only have one option, the only thing they can negotiate on is price.
It's price,
because you've got everything included, so they can kind of only say, can you reduce the price a little bit? Whereas when you have packages, you go, I could take this out and this out to meet your budget. So with good, better, best, you're catering to what they call 3 buying personas. It's the budget conscious, middle of the road, and your premium buyer. Now the reality is there's not many premium buyers in SMB, but having a premium package, if you have 3 packages, enables you to anchor the other 2 packages. So for example, if the quote was 20 grand, you would ordinarily come back to them with on a large recommendations. It makes more sense to go, you could spend 10 grand with just a few upgrades. It could be 20 or it could be 40 or 50. The 40 or 50,000 anchors the other 2 prices. If you just say to someone it's 20,000 pounds or dollars, they kind of go, whoa, hang on, they have no context over that 20,000. Whereas if you give them context, 10 or 40 or 50, suddenly the buyer goes to themselves, well, yeah, in their mind, they'll be thinking, yeah, I'm not spending 40. So they think they've made a saving by not selecting the most expensive one. So this is how the buying process goes with a buyer, and it's why good, better, best works so well, because they can now choose to buy as opposed to being sold to, and there is an absolute difference between someone buying and saying yes or no with their arms crossed. You watch a buyer when it's a yes or no proposition, they'll have their arms crossed and they'll be like, But if you give them options, their arms come open, they start rubbing their chin, leaning in, going, ooh, what should I do there? And this is the sort of thing that we've done in my MSP for a long, long time. And I think it's why we do a great job. When we come back to a client with recommendations, we give them options, we build the solution. We actually call it Solution Builder for the recommendation side. And it enables us to get them to buy something, and we can circle back later to sell them other things they need. So let's give an example where, for example, this is a good one. We're pitching for some new business, just like all of you in our MSP right now. And the client, lots of clients will be saying to you, come back to me with your recommendations. So MSPs are running around going, yes, I will, and I'll audit it, and I'll give you the premium solution, the 3 to 5 year solution. So they'll slap a one number with their support plans, which is also probably one number, to the client. And now the client's looking at 3 MSPs. They're like, oh, well, you were 30 grand, you were 20, and oh, hang on, E-Nerds, you were like 3 prices. So straight away, we don't get knocked out on price, because they have to actually speak to us and go, hang on, you're giving us 3 options. Well, which one is it? And you can go into that sort of consultative discussion to talk about it with them. So there's so many benefits of doing it, but what it really achieves you to do is to get a buyer to make a buying decision. You intrinsically end up selling more to them anyway through the structure, and it is a more aligned process to how buyers are used to buying in that sense in their general day-to-day life. So it's fascinating, and it works a treat.
I love this. Absolutely love this, Jamie. Right. I could spend hours talking about this, but I want to move on to another subject, which is Invarosoft. So give us a 30-second recap of exactly what Invarosoft is, because I want to talk about how you're developing an entire new way of allowing MSPs to work with their clients long term.
Absolutely. So what we've built is a unified customer experience platform. So it's centered around our client portal experience with our apps, the actual client portal itself. And it's all about giving the customer one pane of glass to show your value, improve your productivity around ticketing, and improve communication, improve identity security, and the account management piece. And we're calling it a unified CX platform now because we do VCIO, QBR, TBR technology. We have CSAT, we're doing engineer scheduling, we're doing warranty lookups, we're doing Office 365 and device reports, all bundled up in this one platform. You've got live chat, identity security, and all this sort of stuff. So we're really trying to help MSPs with 2 things. One is the whole customer experience piece, but 2, it's about reducing your stack costs by getting all of the smaller tools you need under the one hood at the same quality as you normally would get from the off-the-shelf tools.
Got it. And apart from the fact that you threw so many acronyms there that you could have sneaked in an acronym that was nothing to do with tech at all, and you got away with that. But no, that makes complete sense. So you're building, and I think what makes a vendor started by an MSP and a successful MSP, what makes that vendor special is that you aren't just building stuff you think MSPs should be using. I know from the conversations we've had previously that you are literally building the tool set that you wish that you had. And then obviously I can see you've developed Invarosoft massively compared to when we last spoke, 18 months ago, and you've added in all of those extra tools. What kind of give us an example of the retention and upselling impact that a good unified CX platform, customer experience platform, can have on an MSP?
Well, there's 2. I'll give you 2 examples. Firstly, it's winning new business. So one of the things I talk about a lot is where you will help MSPs actually get more leads and get these opportunities through the door. One of the things that doesn't get spoken about is improving conversion. If you're converting, say, 1 out of 4 deals, and if you can improve that to a conversion of 2 out of 4 deals, you've literally doubled your growth just by improving conversion. And when you go and see a client, you've got to remember that they are looking for a partnership. They're not looking for a technical solution. Everybody that thinks that, they're not. They're looking for a partnership. And when they're looking for a partnership, they're looking for a step up in that service experience. And so what you want to be able to show them is how you're going to deliver that step up. And if they asked you, hey, how's it going to look with this new relationship with you? And you say, don't worry, I'll replace all the mouse pads and stickers you had before with new mouse pads and stickers, and you can email and call me that way. And then the next MSP comes in and goes, you know what? We've invested in the customer experience piece. We know that we need to take away the darkness of the IT support experience. So we've given you this beautiful client portal experience. You can see your tickets, you can see Office 365 reports, and you've got forms for onboarding and offboarding, all that sort of stuff. We just make the whole experience easy. Which one do you think is going to have the best chance of winning that deal? The old school 1990s approach, or the one that's obviously investing in the customer experience? So it's going to help you improve your conversion and new business. And on the VCIO side, we've actually built our good, better, best methodology into that tool set. So essentially, when you go and present these recommendations, you can go through and give them these options, help them select the right thing, and it actually adds it all up down the right-hand side of this table, so that when you get to the end of that VCIO, QBR, TBR discussion, you're essentially getting that buyer to make a buying decision. Now all you need to do when you send the quote is chase for sign-off, rather than what almost 9 out of 10 MSPs are doing, which is sending them a quote and trying to have that complicated discussion of what they think they need to do. So there's a massive difference there. And these are the tactical things that we've been doing, both these things, in my MSP to beat other MSPs time and time again to build the business. Because we've built that business with no acquisitions, and you've got to do these tactical things to win in very competitive markets, which is pretty much all markets that have MSPs in it.
I love this. It's so smart. Thank you, Jamie. Can you give us a very brief glimpse at what you're going to be doing with Invarosoft next year? And obviously, don't give away any secret sauce that your competitors can steal from you. But where do you see it developing? What's the big plan for you?
Well, look, next year at the start of Q1, we'll be repackaging the platform so that you'll be able to buy modular things from us. So if you just want to buy VCIO or CSAT or engineer scheduling and these sorts of things, you can do that. But we'll also be bundling them into tech tool bundles so that you can start to help reduce the stack cost, etc. One of the surveys we did at the start of the year, we asked people, look, what tools do you use and would you want to reduce the stack costs? And actually, it was interesting, 94.4% of MSPs said, yeah, I would love to do that because it's just too hard, it's too complex managing all these different portals and tools. And so that's what we're looking at doing at the start of next year, and we'll continue to invest in the platform, in all the different areas that I'd already mentioned, to accelerate the feature set for our partners and new partners to come.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie, so much. Just briefly tell us what the website address is for Invarosoft, and how can MSPs get in touch with you?
Sure. If you go to www.invarosoft, invarosoft.com, and you can contact us there. We've got a very simple process for investigating our software. It's 3 steps. You book in a demo. If you like what you see, we'll help you set up a trial. It takes about 30 minutes just to connect your PSA and Azure. And then we just book another quick meeting to find out what you'd like to do. So very easy investigating it, and it's all templatized. You don't have to do anything. We've invested in it so that you can just plug and play, get this platform going. So for those listening and you're thinking, oh yes, I'm thinking about doing CX or something like that in the future, it's very fast. It's not a massive project. We know you're time poor, and we've invested to make sure that that's an easy process for you.
Paul Green's
MSP Marketing
Podcast.